All right, so I wanted to go ahead and jump on live real quick. First of all, it's my first recording of the year, so I was just like a little bit nervous because I'm currently moving out and my apartment is empty. So my office right now has this like echo, and then me not having everything like where it usually is kind of throwing me off. So I was kind of like, should I do this today? Almost wanted to procrastinate, but no, I was like, you know what? No, the energy today is it's alive and it's well, and I don't want to wait until tomorrow because like for all you know, tomorrow there could be like a rainstorm and then my energy field is just a lot more different. So I just said, let's go with what we're going with today. So yeah, I'm currently moving out right now, and it's not because like I'm getting kicked out or anything, even though you do hear those rumors of people getting kicked out, people not being able to make their rent, people can't afford their rent because the rent is going up. So for me, my lease is up, and in order to renew my lease, they are going to raise the rent like $100. And it's not a lot because I do love being here. But like when you're an adult and you're making a lot of decisions like that, financial decisions, like decisions regarding your foundation, like where you're going to live and eat and everything like that, you have to take all of the things that are going on in your life into consideration, and not only the things currently, but the things that are going to happen or what you want for your future, because your past is gone. So there's no more, trying to give yourself excuses based on things that already happened. It's more about just like getting the ball rolling for the future. So the things I had to take into consideration were all the projects that I'm involved in right now, not just this podcast, but other things. And then it's just like the location, so the commute and everything like that, all of those things. So, and then am I going to put in the extra $100 to be here, or can I save some money, like maybe go to my mom's and just like really stack up, because these projects that I'm involved in right now are going to need not only my energy, my attention, but my finances, right? So like this is the thing, like if you haven't like grown up and matured yourself into the adult that you should be, because we all know that society is keeping us like very adolescent even at an adult age, right? Like you're a full adult, you're 24 years old, and you're still watching SpongeBob, and I'm not like being literal, but you know what I mean, like there are people who still like wear their childhood cartoons on their t-shirts. And I'm not gonna lie, I do too, because I've gotten them gifted. And like the 90s cartoons and stuff like that. But like society does this thing where you're constantly nostalgic for your past. So it's always bringing it up in your adulthood. And so you don't realize that even things like that, you would think like, oh, that's not a big deal, but it does affect you. Like you're constantly nostalgic over some things that, to be honest, actually were detrimental to your childhood, because like watching SpongeBob, I don't let my kids watch SpongeBob. And I didn't really realize how dumb it was until I got with my spouse. And then obviously, like, he has a say in what my kids are going to be exposed to as well. So I had to take that into consideration. And he was like, SpongeBob is dumb. Like, like look at how he acts, even though, he watched it a few times and it's not like he wasn't allowed to watch it, but he was self-aware enough to say, hey, I'm not going to let our kids watch that. Like it's just foolish. Like, I don't want my boys running around acting like SpongeBob, because there are a lot of little kids that are very, especially I work at a school, so I see a lot of different kids, a lot of different ages. And like sometimes the maturity level is just like, wow, like no offense to any of my students, because I really appreciate you guys and I love you guys, but you're in seventh and eighth grade and you're watching Bluey too. And it's just an example of how adulthood, like people like my age, are still like fiending for their past and indulging in things that are not good for their development or not teaching them to be adults, right? So like if you're bad with money and then you're constantly just watching TV all the time and not learning how to manage your money better, then you're doing yourself a dishonor, and you're allowing these things from your past and like the Matrix and stuff like really consume your mind and your creations and the things you can create, the things you're able to create, the things you think about creating all the time, but you don't do it. Right? Because then you sit down and you start watching TV, or you get on your phone and you start scrolling, or you call someone and you start gossiping, and it's all of this. Or even what I was doing last year, what I noticed I was doing was that I would help other people so that I didn't have to get to work and do the things that I know I had to get done. So it's like doing favors for my mom, doing extra stuff for my grandma, doing things around the house that didn't really have to get done at the time. I was It's like the SpongeBob episode, right? Like talking about SpongeBob. But it's like that episode where he procrastinates, and it's not like you're being lazy and not wanting to get to work. People like me, like people pleasing people, will look for manners to procrastinate by helping others and saying that, like I had to do that. And it's like really like you volunteer yourself, or you maybe lacked somewhere else in your life. So now you had to make up for it in that moment, and it threw off what you could have been creating for yourself. Right. So I do it all the time. Like this is 2024, and I'm here kind of to help you guide yourself also to a better future, because I'm doing it for myself. And when you do it for yourself rather than others, like it's obviously going to be a lot more better manifesting, being able to see the energies and what's happening or why it's happening, why people act this way, why that person got triggered, why did I get triggered, why is this situation happening, why did this happen to me, you know, who stole my car, just like random shit that happens in the Matrix. So you have to just like always keep yourself on game and check in with yourself and have a plan and be there for yourself and support yourself, because you can't expect everyone else around you to do it. And that's what holds you back. And that's what makes you waste more time, is like you expect other people to do these things that you want. And the only one who's going to do it is you. And I really want to give a shout out to my friend Josh and Kevon, because they visited me last year, or maybe a little bit over a year ago. And they were just kind of like hyping me up and being like, why aren't you doing anything right now? You're kind of like, and I was kind of hidden for a while because of like the whole situation that happened to me after 2020. I was kind of hiding in the dark. They're like, what's going on? What are you going to do? Like waiting for me to kind of pop back up again. And my excuse was like, I don't have anyone to help me. Like, I can't get this technical stuff down. And, like the excuses were just like, I couldn't do it for myself. And, like they were straight up like, come on, like, what are you doing? Like, you can do that shit yourself, dude. Like, stop, like, and I'm over here underestimating myself because I know I can do a lot and I know I'm good at a lot of things. But I just want to thank them for just like waking me back up and being like, just do it. Just put the energy into it, right? But I was busy working. Like I have 2 jobs and I still do. And I really maintain those because like I have financial goals. But now simultaneously I can do that and I can do this too. And then I can do more. And then that's because like what? Like I cut out things that don't serve me, right? Like the watching TV. And like I'm not gonna lie, sometimes I watch TV, dude. Like I love HGTV, right? I don't pay for cable, but I have this like stream box. So if you want to know about that, like you pay $100 or whatever, and you can stream like everything, like all the channels and whatnot. But we can get back to that later. So I have that and I watch HGTV sometimes. And for those of you who don't know, HGTV is home and garden television. So like they renovate houses, which they mostly do their gardens, houses, inside, outside, real estate and things like that. So I kind of like that. I love real estate and I like learning how to make your home more beautiful, because my mom was always like really big on decorating and making her house beautiful. And a lot of my friends would even always tell me like, your house is so nice. Your mom like decorates so pretty. And then like now I'm kind of, now I'm like her, and I like to make my house beautiful and feel nice and just like, just be grateful every day for what I have, and then just like illuminate it, right? Just like this, I have this bed, but I'm gonna make it stand out because I'm gonna put like some nice bed sheets on it, and then things are gonna match, and then it's neutral to my eyes, right? This is what feng shui is, right? If you don't know what feng shui is, then it's neutral to my eyes and it feels good and it flows and there's no clutter. So things are not constantly bothering me because they're out of place or they're dirty. And it's clean and it feels good. It smells nice. There's no like racket or weird noises. And like that's called, I forgot what it's called, right? But it's not soundscaping, it's like something else basically. But it is feng shui, the Chinese tradition of like being able to fix your home in a way where it suits you and it does best for you, and it even brings wealth and it does certain things for your business. And then every year it changes because of like the earth is moved, or, whatever is going on, right? I'm not going to get into that. But so like things change every year. The energy changes, right? The sun, everything, the planets move around. So every year there's a new direction to where you should put like water in your house. Should you put it in the east side and north side? Because that's going to help you bring in abundance. And these are the people, these Chinese astrologers are the ones that kind of put out the data and stuff, or maybe it's AI now at this point, putting out the data telling you like each year what you need to do to move your house around and get that energy flowing again for the new year. And so, I'm like your feng shui master for this year for yourself, right? To motivate yourself, to keep yourself on game, and to like really stick to your resolutions. But not only resolution, like sticking to your resolutions, but creating more, or like really setting yourself up to like really bring in the life that you want. Like if you've been at it for a few years and you realize like this ain't it, or I don't know what I want, like is there more? Just like the wondering game. The best thing to do is just plan, just like sit down, like turn off all the noise, turn off the TV, go to your bedroom, maybe when no one is there, maybe when your wife is there, just talk to each other and just talk about like, what do you want? Like, do our things line up? And if they don't line up, can we line them up and like figure something out instead of like constantly fighting and arguing because things are not working right now how they should be? So yeah, because like I know, like I said, I'm not getting kicked out because I can't afford the rent, but I know that there are like my neighbors, like I see them getting kicked out because they don't want to pay the rent. It's too high, It's not even because like they can't afford it. It's just like they'd rather put their money elsewhere. And that's like for most part, like that's what it is. If you can't afford your rent, it's probably because you know that you can pay somewhere cheaper elsewhere, like with family or anything like that. But yeah, so just setting in those goals and like the whole housing thing, like they do say that this year it's going to be pretty chill and the interest rates are not going to go down or go up. But like, you also have to just be ready for just in case they lied and they don't want you to be prepared for this, right? So, and by they lied, like the media and what they want you, like what they put out there for the masses to know so that they can kind of control where you sway and how you move, right? Like with the whole crypto thing. For the longest, they were telling you that it's nothing. And then at the same time, they were investing and telling you don't invest, and then they're making money and then you're not, because like that's what they want everybody to do. Or they have their, what's it called, they have their influencers or they have their media that they put out talking about a certain coin because maybe they just bought a bunch of it and they want you to buy more, and then now they're going to sell it because it's going to go up because you're buying more. So like the whole influence thing, right? Like the people who get paid to say certain things and stuff, and just letting I know because my stuff always gets censored. My YouTube channel already got censored from the first episode of like talking about detoxification and things like that. So there's so many words I can't even use anymore. So luckily there's a whole nother channel that's going to be hosting our videos from now on, because some of, the channels right now that I currently have been flagged just because I'm talking about healthy stuff, dude. Like it's not even like conspiracy related anymore. Right now it's health. So like what else are they going to be able to touch if I really don't say these certain words? So, and then that's the thing too, because some of you guys were telling me like, oh, get on. And there is there is this like chick that I'm gonna have on my show next, because she was the one who had told me like, hey, you don't really get on and say anything that you were like saying in the past. And like I was kind of explaining to her, it's, to be able to keep the channel up. But there are smart ways that we're gonna work around that. And I'm gonna work with her to be able to like not even have to worry about those things, right? Like just side doors that we can go through to be able to talk about the things that we should be talking about, right? Because that's why I have this podcast. It's not to get on here and to look cute and stuff, even though I like to look cute, but it's to like bring awareness to the stuff that we really need to be paying attention to, like you guys already know. So moving forward, because it's almost springtime, right? And a lot of us do know that the springtime is when the Chinese start celebrating their new year, and we see the spring and things coming to life. So like this cycle of death is like over, and let's manifest that cycle of death to be over for our own life, like period, moving forward, not just for the rest of the year, but forever. Like, let's get away from the excuses, from the time wasted, from the arguments, from the gossiping and judging other people, because that stuff doesn't get us anywhere. And what I wanted to bring up, which I'll be talking about with that one girl, which I will tag her later because she does make content that's pretty cool too. I watched that movie that everybody's been talking about. And like, not that I want to get into it and start deciphering it and whatnot, but like the whole point of that movie was telling you guys that like the first strike, if they were to do this whole thing, whatnot, is like isolation and having people just like fight against each other and not being united, not having contact, not having communication, not knowing how to communicate, not even wanting to communicate in a constructive way, right? Only destructive, only to protect, only to defend. And so you like if like don't worry about that stuff happening if you're doing like the counter work, right? So like if they're telling you that isolating and not trusting your neighbors and not having a plan with your neighborhood can can really like get you can be detrimental, then how about you start doing something active, right? Like we can start this and I'll have we're gonna have to organize this, okay? But we can start this thing where like all across the country we have neighborhoods that are actively just united because okay, look, going back to my past, right? Because sometimes we have to do that. There was this lady who lived on my street of my mom's house, and we lived across the street from my high school. So I would like, and I had an early schedule, so I would go home early all the time, which to my neighbors, it probably looked like I was ditching because I also invited people over that didn't have a short schedule, so they were ditching. But this lady was a neighborhood watch lady, and she called the cops on me so many times. Like I was in my car and we were listening to music with my friends. We were probably smoking weed too, but she called the cops on me and I couldn't even go inside my house until my mom came home from wherever she was to say, yes, she lives here and she can like, please let her go. But this lady, I used to just hate her because, and rest in peace, like so much respect to you now because as an elder, I see what you were doing. But she was a neighborhood watch and she was just like on it, like metiche nosy, just wanted to just look for things to do because she was retired. And no offense to anybody. But I feel like we need to do that, but like not in the sense where we're looking for crime and things like that, but in the sense where we have this like emergency plan, like let's be smart, dude. Like we have like social media, but what good does that do us if we don't have an emergency plan with our neighborhood, right? So we need to have this plan where every single house is growing some kind of fruit just abundantly. Like they're just in charge of that one fruit because it just makes their land, it'd be easier for them to keep up with that fruit instead of having different ones. So each house on the block grows a certain fruit. And then we all just take care of it, like get your family involved and don't be the mom that just does everything and waters all the plants. Like have a plan with your own family too, so you're not even starting and bickering negative energy inside the house. But have a plan with your family and be like, you're watering the plant this day, just that stuff. And even be the person in the neighborhood that knows what each plant needs. So like if your neighbor is saying, hey, my avocados are dying, what can I do? You already have a plan. You already have the farmer's almanac or whatever you need to like or the chat GPT, you can pull up your phone and tell them and help them out. But like, why are we not doing this already? Like, a few years ago, we were talking about like everybody have your own garden and grow your own food. But like, it's not like that anymore. How about you grow certain things and you ask your neighbors to grow other things because there's more land and they're probably not even using it. Maybe they're retired and they're bored and they don't know what to do. So let's make use of people and their extra time, their extra resources. Okay. Like we're sleeping on this stuff. So every plan, every house in the neighborhood grows a certain fruit, whatever. And then you know who has like the generators and all that stuff. And then you just have that, like you just do meetups every month, every single month. And you have one person's house where you're going to meet if anything happens, because if you need resources or support, it'll be there. And I know I'm going to cry because I'm such a sensitive person, but it would save lives. Like if we thought like this, instead of being like, oh, my own supply, my own household, my own children, which is important. It's so important because you might not trust your neighbors. Like maybe they are kind of criminals or something, but you can't do it on your own. So we need to remember that we need each other. And like, it's just like we're in the future now, and we need to use what the information we have at hand. So who's with me? So yeah, anyways, so somebody can like, hit me up about that. But that's something I wanted to say. Like let's not talk about that movie no more, but let's talk about what we can do to avoid these situations. Okay. So stop letting others control you. Yeah. So like if it's hard for you to live with others right now, like I know that people even like were consolidating houses and stuff like that. What I think really helped me last year is just like, you know that you can only control yourself more than you can control others. So control your reactions, recognize your triggers, and then stop letting other people like just be your problem. Like if you just knew how to not let people get to you, you wouldn't allow what they say or what they do to really hinder you and hinder your growth so much. So that's something that you can work on this year that really helped me. And when you do that, then you can let down those boundaries and those walls that will also keep you from trusting other people, that will keep you from being happy around other people, and that will just keep you from like stunning your growth because you need to keep learning things. Like if you like, okay, something that my therapist said when I was going to therapy for a while, and we were doing this marriage counseling for a while, which I don't do anymore because let's just say it helped me a little bit, but it's just like it's not it for me. But the thing that she said was like the whole soap dispenser thing, because I think I was complaining about me always changing the toilet paper roll and the soap dispenser and like just the tedious things around the house, like just always being the only one. Because as a mom, and we'll talk about this with my homegirl, but as a mom, like that's what happens. You usually get stuck with the tedious things if you're not a full-time worker, right? And then when you are a full-time worker, like it's just like dividing the load, right? But it gets tedious and you complain about it, but it's like you're gonna stress yourself out just expecting someone else to do it when like you're there anyways, or it doesn't take very long, so you can just do it anyways. And that this is the mentality that I think a lot of Americans have. It's like we have this mentality where we think everybody is gonna do this thing for us because it's obvious that it needs to get done, but it's not that obvious because everyone's in their own world. Like no one's thinking exactly what you're thinking. And that's the whole like delusion that everybody has is like everybody thinks that I can read your mind. And even though like to a certain extent we can do that now where we can look at each other and we already don't have to say anything and know what we're gonna like no. But we're not like in the cars driving and like the car next to me is reading my mind and she just knows that I'm gonna make a left turn like in 2 seconds. And that's what you need to understand, like the whole like we have no patience for each other anymore, especially after the whole 2020 and just growing patience for one another and realizing that your perception is not the only one. And you need to remember that sometimes it takes people a few seconds even to just catch up with what you're saying because they're in their own mind. They don't stop and pause between tasks or things that they need to get done like maybe you do. Or if you don't either, then recognize that. So just being more mindful. Um, yeah. So like I don't really celebrate Christmas, but I wanted to bring this up because I know that everybody has family that does. So what do you do when your family knows you're on vacation? You're on vacation and they want you to come over, especially if you have kids because they want to see the kids. And you're like, I don't want to celebrate it. Like you're gonna make me spend money right now when we're in a recession and I don't want to. But you can't be selfish like that either because then you look like a Grinch and stuff. So like what do you do? And I always say like if they want to celebrate Christmas, then don't be surprised if I don't get them anything for the whole year. And then on Christmas, I give them a little something, like little something, right? Or if I find something, this is what I did. If I find something along the year, I save it and I'm like, I'm gonna give this to them for Christmas because they like to celebrate Christmas so much. They don't like to live in that moment where it's like, hey, if I find something and I feel like I want to gift you something, I'll do it out of the goodness of my heart when we communicate, when you do something for me, when we're on good terms, not just like, oh, you know, it's December. Who do we have to buy a gift for? Like, I don't do that. Okay, that's something that if like you're not going to celebrate Christmas and you don't want to and your family does, don't do that. Like, just go about your year. And if you find something cute, even when you travel, you can save it for that person that celebrates Christmas and they can wait until the end of the year. So that's what I think, I mean, like, that's what I've been doing. I did that this year and it worked out great. I barely spent any money. Like, and it's sad too because it's like my kids are 8, so their whole life, I didn't really celebrate Christmas, and I wasn't like that. And my mother-in-law hated it because she's a Christmas person and she loves it. And there was no winning because there's certain people that just like don't, especially me as a people pleaser. And sometimes I'm very soft spoken, and you'd be surprised. I don't always stand up for myself. Like it was hard to basically get my kids to like not celebrate Christmas, but at the same time they knew like Santa wasn't real and they know I don't play that game either. Um, but like there was that. See, like it's the half and half. It's like, okay, we'll celebrate Christmas with your family, but Santa's not real. And all of this could be because they just want us to buy stuff. And I don't tell them like, hey, they just want us to spend money and blah, blah, blah. Like the way you say things to your kids is also how they're going to grasp what you're saying. So I was like, I think it's just like a way for them to just get money from us, blah, blah, blah. And I do my thing as a mom, right? But they're going to be 9. So who knows? Like, I want to hear from other people. So when I have homegirl on the show, we're going to talk about it. She's a mom. So we'll see how that goes. And maybe I'll have other people and we can have a whole discussion. So self-correcting in 2024 is really like what's going to do it for you, because that's what did it for me. Because that's what did it for me. And I feel like it didn't not work because I feel a lot more like just ready. And I've like even came up with ideas. And it's not like I've let go of those ideas and abandoned them and got distracted. Like I'm still gonna like um go on with my plan, what is it called? Like just, go in a different direction if I have to, if things change, readjust, right? Readjust was the word I was looking for. And so on and so forth. So don't give up on the things that you are working hard to do. Because for instance, like this podcast, right? I started it last year. I thought I was going to do one episode every week, but life just happened and there was other things to do, especially like as a mother. And as someone that just has to keep their house clean and do things like that and pay bills, you know what it is. So things happen, but we don't give up on them. Like we just find out how to work those things into our life and find the balance in them until it's finally flowing. Because like, let's just say you need to push a car, right? That stopped and it's like, it's not running anymore. It's really hard to start pushing it initially, right? It's like it's a tug and you're just kind of like, okay, we just need to get it rolling because your time, your energy and everything, it's a spinning wheel. So it's hard in the beginning and it's like you're going to nudge and you're going to push and you're going to stretch your arms and legs and everything. But then once you kind of get it going, then you pick up the momentum. So that's why it's like, don't give up on yourself at first, even if it takes a whole year in, or 5 years in, you do it because if that's what makes you happy, right? And so like that's the thing. Sometimes we're really good at something, right? Like with my food business, really good at it, like almost just gifted and talented. Not something I enjoy doing though, right? Like when you get a job and you're just like so good at the job, you're the best one on the site. You're the best, everyone knows it. But maybe you don't even like doing it. Maybe you do it because other people want you to do it and you just are good at it. But then there's other things that you're passionate about that you might be super good at. And because you're not doing enough of that, you're feeling drained. And maybe that turns you on more than that thing that other people think you're good at. So consider all of the stuff you have to think about as an adult and make your decisions based on that. But yeah, thank you so much for joining me. I'm so glad I was able to get on Instagram live too, because like I said, setting up this stuff is just like foreign to me. So if you are like a film editor or anything like that and you want a job, let me know. We can work on something. All right, guys.